a really good presentation, and some of the drawings that you produced of the building are stunning. So it's really very, very good. You showed us an example of a building in Norway with lots of people dining out on the harbour side. Where is your most public space inside this building? Where's the celebrationary space, or the spectacle space?
Let me see.
I suppose that.
Yeah. There's the most public place for the, from the main entrance here to connect the slipway.
Yeah.
And another corridor to follow around the two main buildings.
Yeah, because the boat could have come right into the middle of all of those buildings, couldn't it? So is that what's meant to happen?
Yeah, it's happening.
Okay. And quickly, just around the outside of the building, would you say it engages with its surrounding? So I'm looking as I go around this building on the streets. Is it communicating with me? Is it allowing me? Is it engaging with me, or do I have to go inside it to sort of be engaged with the building?
There are many ways to access the building, like from the main street or another street here to get easy, like public spaces. Not to be.
But I'd have to go into that central space to start to use the cafes and lecture theatres and those sort of things, wouldn't I?
Like if you want to use, like for example, you have some cafe over there, just access the building from the main street and a car park up the side here.
Okay.
So down to here, so you can go through the building, like for the small corridor here and have a cafe over there.
Okay, good.
It's a really wonderful site and program for architecture, and therefore it opens up lots of lots of ideas. And I imagine you've struggled with and thought of and solved a lot of them. But one of the things that is amazing is the presence of the water and coming down into the water, and the idea that the water could come towards you and you could go towards it, just like at the Opera House in Oslo. Because having been there, it also gets bits of seaweed and bits of bird and bits of something, minty papers and things, flotsam and jetsam. It's a very exciting place. So then I think about the poetics of the ship being drawn up. And so it's like a vessel. The space is like the architecture has, one of the potentials is to make the place that holds that space. And this famous thing about, is it the pot or is it what the pot can hold, the void? And so the thing about making the space and the way that you make the walls of that space and the plateaus of that space is influenced by the excitement of the water. And then the street edges, I think Chris has hinted at, there's obligations to thinking about the street edges. So it's got the potential of the two sides of the problem. The thing that is the water space and then the land space. And somehow to get that more profoundly into the architecture is always the issue. I think you've probably solved and done a lot with your planning and organisation, like nice, neat little buildings, but for me, where is it really close to the water? I keep thinking, would I be surprised when I came into that space, the way the walls celebrated that? Do you know what I'm saying? That the architecture has got that authority to create surprise and wonder about what you see in the site. This site especially for you. And this is unique, isn't it? Or as an invitation. So I suppose I'm quibbling at the edges about saying, where can you be architectural in the thinking of the site, not merely organisational? And I'm not saying you haven't thought about the architecture, but the poetics of the location, how can that infiltrate and support the experience of that space? So hats off to you for lots of things. I think it's There's many things to admire about the scheme, but I think that's a challenge. Something of that order is what it calls for, without being just making a shape. Okay.
Can I just compliment you on your wonderful response to criticism throughout the process of this project? You've taken it on board, you've reviewed it, you've looked at it, and you've developed your scheme. And it's been quite refreshing to see that. It's been terrific. And I like the growing industrial nature of this scheme. It started off quite commercial, didn't it?
Yeah.
And it's slowly becoming more human in many ways. The courtyards, the open big areas downstairs, the big rooms downstairs, that industrial quality that suits that area so well, and the recognition of the sunken inclined plane. And you've really managed that very well. You've developed that very well. I agree with Britt and Chris. I think what tends to happen is when we focus on like the centre of a project, we neglect the edges a little bit. And I think those edges to the street could have been more human, more social, more interactive. I think entry is a very important thing on a scheme like this. And so, rather than have 3 or 4 entries, I think the primary entry would have been a good thing to have. And I think that you have developed this central inclined plane beautifully. You could have again taken it another step again. But and then the way you've opened up the lower area, the sort of podium area, is terrific. But you might have stepped that facade back a bit or something, so you've got like a protected facade from the sun that you can walk out, you can sit down on, and that sort of thing. But and your form making is starting to come alive too. You're starting to like singularise your forms, which is a lot better than what you had before.
Yeah.
So I think you've developed the scheme a lot since you started. I think that you've really given it your best shot, and I compliment you for all of that. Good on you.
Antoine, you've come along a lot over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Come along big time. And you're starting to get a semblance of structure in there too, which you just didn't have before at all. Britt's comment about the nature of a ship and the harbour that encloses it is a really important one, I think. And the way you've actually formed it by fairly prosaic forms of buildings. You can see it in your model here quite closely. I don't think goes so well with the nature of a ship that's been pulled into a dock with its beautiful changing sections and its bagging sides. Somehow or other, the room that encloses the ship is the architecture of your 3 buildings. And that's what you were saying, wasn't it?
We agree with
and so I think that you're missing there, right? And the other thing that you must come to grips with more is the actual architectural fabric of a building. Don't let your computer do it for you because it doesn't know how. You know how, or you should know how. What makes the structure of form from the inside to the outside? What gives it its strength and its cohesion? You must know that. And then you can command the computer to do things for you. But at the moment you're relying on the computer to be making the boxes for you, and they look like they're made of cardboard. And then they shouldn't be, right? It's naval dockyard history you're dealing with. Powerful, gutsy waterfront stuff. 4Gags has gone downhill since it lost its beautiful floating docks. Then they pulled out the ramp and the great hydraulic diesel generated hoist that pulled the boats out in the slipway. They ripped them out, damn their eyes. So you've put a new system in because I asked you to. Remember in our last crit? I'd like to know more, not now, about how that system actually works.
Yeah.
But can I refer you to Hans Scharoun's Bremerhaven in Bremen, in Germany, the Maritime Museum there, which has a big ship as its centre part. And everything builds around that. Okay? So, that side of things is lacking, and then your architectural fabric sense for making things is lacking as well. If you can get into that, then you will progress, I think, in your professional career.
Yeah, sure.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks.
And
Oh, thank you so much. Beautiful imagery, and it's really good to see it come to a head, and it's been great. I really enjoyed it. It's good.
Thank you very much.
okay, thank you.